Hello guys, welcome. So in this video, I want to talk about, as you can see, I will be talking about the JYP, the Journal of Young Physicists. But of course, this is not a promotion kind of video or a generic video about the JYP. So it's not like yeah, of course, because this is my personal channel and the JYP is not this is not a promotion kind of video. I'll mostly be talking about what I learned from the JYP because this organization is nearly 6 years old. It will be six in July and maybe in the first few minutes I will be spending a little bit time about what the JYP is and also what it is not, because that will be important for those of you who are not familiar with the JYP. Now I know that not all of my YouTube viewers are probably familiar with the JYP, but yeah, so as you can see, the JYP is the Journal of Young Physicists, and it's our website is, as you can see, journalofyoungphysicists.org. So you can visit our website if you're interested, but in very short, this is just a you know like a well, it started off as kind of like a physics blog, an unofficial physics blog back in 2020, on 1st July 2020, when I was a student of standard 11, so I was a high school student then. And please don't ask me how did it start, because some of you will think that I must have went through lots of planning and stuff. No, but at the same time I will not be claiming to be like kind of genius that I figured it out all by myself. No, it was not like that. It was not a smooth journey, especially for the first few months, first 2 years in fact. But if you specifically want to know how it started, well, I was kind of dissatisfied because I by that time I was already working as a junior editor for the Young Scientist Journal, which is a very great initiative. You can, maybe I'll drop the link in the description if you want. You can check out their website as well if you are not familiar with them. So it's a registered non-profit. It's a peer-reviewed. They follow the peer review model, kind of STEM journal for young students. So it's the same model, but it's scaled down to only young students, and it's good because this gives young students, even high school students, not even undergraduates or graduates, but even high school students. We kind of motivate them to write science articles, maybe articles about some original research project or idea, or it could even be review articles, and then they submit the articles to us. There are different categories, different subjects, and there is a reviewer. Like there are many editors who work for different teams like physics, mathematics, biology, etc. And they take a look at the article, they add some comments, and then they send the article back to the author for revision, or in some cases it can be rejected and otherwise it's accepted and published. So that is the idea basically, but it's all run by students and for students. And that's when I submitted one or two of my works, like not serious works, because of course I was a high school student back then. I was just kind of starting to explore, and I didn't know about any technical, it was not a real research project by by the standards required in like real academia or peer reviewed journals. But it was all I had then, and it was of course beyond curriculum, and I was initially very like demotivated, discouraged, because I couldn't find any platform which would take my ideas seriously, because I'm just a high school student. But then I found the YSJ, the Young Scientist Journal, and then I submitted my articles to them. Some of them were accepted, and then I eventually joined them as a junior editor. Currently, I work as an executive editor for the physical sciences of the YSJ. Recently, also, I served as a mentor to four high school students as part of an initiative by the YSJ, the Young Scientist Journal Research Program 2026. It was a great experience. Well, officially I was the mentor, but trust me, I learned a lot as well. I learned about my shortcomings when it comes to teaching or making a complex idea simpler to, let's say, a young audience, and it was a great learning experience for me as well, and hopefully for them as well. But yeah, the point is that the Young Scientist Journal is a generic STEM journal, so there is no, like, it's for all science subjects. But what I found was that it appeared to me, I felt that physics was in a way underrepresented among the young, like, by young I mean even high school students, because somebody who has decided to major in physics in college, well, they have already decided to do physics, so there is no point in kind of popularizing physics to them or motivating them to do physics, because they have already decided to do physics. And if somebody has not decided to do physics, if somebody is majoring in something other than physics in college or university, they're also, in a way, they have already chosen their path. So it's like that's not the time when you try to persuade them to explore physics. So this is mostly the JYP, the Journal of Young Physicists. The project started mostly aimed at high school students. Today it has, well, grown in scale and everything, and today we have some articles which are way beyond high school level, but initially it started, and even today we have a strong focus on the high school students. So it was initially just a fun blogging site. So the idea came to me all of a sudden, and I literally, without any planning or anything, I just created a website. The website didn't look so pretty then when I started, but yeah, then I some people joined me initially. Then I also faced some criticism, which is understandable because, well, then not then even today there is a trend among young students, that they want to be founders, because founder is like, of course, it's not as easy as it sounds, but you can just open a page on LinkedIn. You can list founder on your profile in LinkedIn, and you can, at least you can pose as a founder. But of course, what people don't understand is that just creating a LinkedIn page or even creating a website is not even half the story. Because if you really want to found an organization, first of all, you have to understand whether there is a real need for that organization, or whether you're just doing it so that you can like flex or show off to your network that, see, I'm a founder. Because the term founder by itself means nothing, especially in today's age. Like, I mean, every other kid on LinkedIn is a founder. Okay, they don't understand anything about what they're talking, but they just yeah, they are founders, they're this, that, and so on. Well, for the JYP, initially it was kind of like a, I was naive. Of course, I won't be claiming that I was very matured and I understood everything back then. But I would still say, and I'm not bragging, I'm not flexing, but I would still say that the JYP, I never intended it. And it is not something that I did just to add another line to my CV or to my resume or to my profile. That's why, like, for me, I really felt the need that there should be a platform where young students who are passionate specifically about physics can write articles and submit to us. We may not accept all articles, but at least they can expect feedback. They can, I mean, we do not reject, we reject articles, but we do not just say that your article has been rejected, thank you. No. When we reject, we give proper detailed feedback, how to improve or what not to, what to avoid, and that kind of thing. And I think a young student who has tried to write something, maybe it's very, like, it's foolish, it's naive, it's not matured enough, that's true. But if somebody has decided or taken the effort to write something beyond their curriculum, being a high school student, they deserve feedback. They don't deserve like rejection or gatekeeping, like you are too young for this. No, they don't want to hear you're too young for this. And that was the kind of motivate, that's what motivated me to create this platform. And well, of course, it's no longer just a blog. I mean, it has been over around for nearly 6 years, for 5 years and I think 10 months more precisely, about almost 6 years. And I'll be showing you around the website, because another reason I'm making the video is that there has been some recent changes in the JYP, like major changes about our policies, our guidelines, and stuff like that. And there, from what I heard, we have been getting lots of emails. Even I personally received some LinkedIn DMs and stuff. So I feel that there is some confusion regarding this. Kind of some people are misinterpreting, or they don't properly understand. So that's why this video is kind of I'll be addressing all of these questions. So first of all, yeah, this is our homepage. I'll be dropping the link in the description. You can take a look. So, and this is basically our kind of what we really believe in. It's not just a catchy tagline or something. It's more than that. So physics does not begin with permission. It begins with a question. On our website, you'll find articles written by 12-year-olds, 10-year-olds, and no, I don't remember exactly 10-year-olds. I shouldn't be saying out of like without, but yeah, I do remember there is definitely an article written by a 12-year-old, by a 13-year-old. So these are really young people. And of course, the final published article is not what they submitted. It went through lots of revisions, but that's what we're here for. And at least we encourage them, and hopefully they learn something about the process of scientific writing, and this will be this will be helpful for them on the in the future. And we hope they get inspired to do physics, like real physics, when they grow up. So yeah, of course, what I want to show you is that, first of all, since I already told you so much about us, I'll just run you through our about page. So against the gradient is kind of our, well, it's not a, I don't want to use the word like tagline or kind of motto or anything, but it really signifies that we're moving against the gradient. It actually symbolizes or signifies two things. Number one, yeah, it is in a way against the gradient, because the JYP does not charge a single penny. We don't charge anything from authors, from readers, or there is no hidden cost at any stage of the publication process, regardless of your article, whether it's accepted or rejected. And we don't even accept donations. So it's fully a not for profit organization. Now, yeah, and the fact that we have been able to sustain this operation, this platform, and not just sustain, like scale it up like this over the last few years, is because of our contributors, our team members, and that's it. And all of us are brought together by a shared passion for physics, and especially to popularize physics, and kind of uh, targeted at the young audience. So that's all it takes. But of course, it's not as simple as it sounds. I'm not trying to give you a motivational speech or something, because things are messy. Not for the first 2 years, yes, but even now the JYP is, it's not really, we don't have that kind of infrastructure as like a large company, or a large organization. So things are messy sometimes. It's not a smooth operation at all, but it's there, and that matters. That's what I think. So this is in short our story. And like I say, it's not, some people have even asked me like, why you're the founder, but why don't you have a separate page called founders, like message from the founder or something. I mean, the question really sounds stupid to me. Yeah, I know that there are many youth run organizations, or like so called, by organization maybe just a website, a LinkedIn page, and people are claiming to be the, I'm the founder, I'm the founder, I'm the founder. So those people clearly do it so that they can brag that they're the founder. They don't really care about the mission. Although they have a very good mission statement written on the website, most of the time they neither have any experience, any real passion for the project. And for them, the organization or whatever they are founding, be it a company or non-profit, whatever, it's just kind of like a showcase of their, like a personal, almost like a personal branding or something. JYP is not like that. Today we have nearly 120 published articles from, of different authors from around the world. So it's a serious platform. It's I cannot like brand myself, or I cannot build the JYP around me, because it's a long-term project. The JYP does not depend on me. I will be dead after a few years, maybe after 50 years, 60 years, I don't know, maybe even before. But it doesn't mean the JYP will stop operating then. There are people who, like people except me, who have access to our kind of dashboard, our website management system, our email. So these people know, and I mean, of course, we'll be recruiting. There will be new members joining, there will be members leaving, but and over time, hopefully, we'll be improving our infrastructure, our organization even more. So of course, the JYP is a serious platform. I founded it. Okay, that's true, but I really do not see myself as someone special within the organization. I'm just a first member, but I hold the same importance as any other member. Yeah, okay, I started this, that's fine, but I don't really want to, because why do I say this? Because if I was an author and I submitted an article to the JYP, and I found that the organization was like kind of revolving around the founder, on every page there was a kind of the founder's message, the founder's name, the founder's picture, I would have felt very bad about it. I wouldn't have wanted my work, my article to be on a website like that. And that's how I know that nobody else who are contributing to us would want that. And of course, and trust me, I don't even feel the need to do that, because I have a life outside the JYP. My research, my work, my writings, my for instance, I mean, I have an identity beyond the JYP, right? If you guys, most of you, in fact, some of you guys on YouTube, some of you, I'm sure you don't even know of the JYP. You know of me, you know of my research, you know of what I do, what I don't do, I mean, you know a lot about me. But maybe some of you haven't even heard of the JYP. If I really wanted to kind of advertise the fact, I would have spoken about the JYP in every video, and I would have made it popular I would have tried to make it popular by like that. But that's not how it is. So our growth has been slow, but it's steady. Whatever members we have, or whatever contributors, whatever, they're loyal to the platform. They're not here because of some advertisement or stuff like that. So yeah, and against the gradient also means that, of course, if active, I mean, if you know a little bit about active matter physics, or even non-equilibrium physics, usually things want to move in the direction of the gradient, like for instance, from high concentration to low concentration, from high pressure to low pressure, stuff like that. But if you active matter, or active processes like life itself, it's against the gradient, because you need to move against the gradient to be able to sustain something, like for instance life, which is kind of, you can think of it in a way like a local battle against the increase in entropy. But again, I don't want to go into all those in this video. But yeah, against the gradient simply symbolizes that we are moving against the gradient, because right now the gradient in academia, it has become, by the gradient I mean the convention has become like gatekeeping. You need supervisors recommendation letter, or you need someone's endorsement to be able to submit. You need to pay a huge amount of money to be able to publish the article. You need to work on known topics. You cannot work on new topics. If your idea will not be taken seriously. You need to have a degree. You need to be at least a PhD student. Why? i mean I mean, if you really want to think about physics, you don't need to. You can even be a high school student. You don't even need to be a college student. So that was like I told you, that was what motivated me to create this platform. So since July 2020, we have grown from a small student blog into an international platform for young people interested in physics and related sciences. We have now published over 100 articles, built a team of more than 30 young physicists from around the world. Our aim is simple: to popularize physics and to support the growth of young physicists. So we publish accessible articles that explain known ideas in an engaging way, but we also welcome more technical pieces, original projects, research style articles, computational work, experimental reports, and interdisciplinary submissions. Over time, the JYP has become a space where school students, undergraduate students, and even graduate students can share serious work while still keeping the spirit of curiosity that started the platform. Our scope has naturally widened over time. We publish work that applies physical reasoning to a broad range of questions, from traditional physics like cosmology, astrophysics, quantum mechanics, to more recent and interdisciplinary areas such as complex systems, biological physics, medical science, AI, and environmental science. Some pieces are written for general readers, while others are more niche or more technical and aimed at students who want to go deeper in that particular direction. Any young physics enthusiast is welcome to get involved. You can join our team, submit as an independent contributor, or simply read our articles and explore physics. All submitted articles go through plagiarism screening and editorial review before publication. Our long term hope is to keep building the platform into a serious, welcoming platform where young students can learn, write, question, and share their scientific ideas. So this is kind of like the statement that it's an online student-led not-for-profit organization which offers young students the opportunity to get their physics articles reviewed and, if accepted, published, committed to popularizing physics and fostering the growth of young physicists. And there is some another question which we get asked often, that if I submit an article to the JYP, or if it's published, if it's accepted, then who owns the copyright to my article? Well, we don't. You see, it's written that copyright 2022 present by the JYP, all rights reserved. So this all rights reserved simply means that we own the right to our logo, our the name Journal of Young Physicists, this name of our organization, our website, this domain, journalofyoungphysicists.org, and everything on our website, that just the website, and like overall. But individually we do not own the copyrights to the articles. That's why, just so that nobody is confused, it's written that authors retain the rights to their respective articles. So if you submit an article, you have the copyright to your submission, which simply means that you can submit your article to other platforms. Even if it's published to us, we do not hold the rights, and we have no objection with that. But of course, if the other platform has objection that no, we do not accept articles which are already published, then that's a different thing. That's their problem. We cannot like unpublish articles which are already published in the JWeb because of such things, of course, because we have. But yeah, we from our end, we do not own the copyright to your articles. And this is our publication disclaimer. So yeah, it's just a disclaimer. So of course, usually our articles go through a review process. So once you submit an article, we assign it to, first of all, we run it through a plagiarism check and also AI check. But to be honest, the AI check is not something that guides our decision on whether to accept the article or reject the article. So because as you know that some articles, even if they're not written by AI, they can show significant AI percentage. And if some article, so that's not really reliable. And if you use AI to write your article, write parts of your article, but as long as the idea is your own and there is no like inaccuracies, no inconsistencies in the article, that's to some extent acceptable for us. But plagiarism, I mean, if you use someone else's idea or work as it is without crediting them, that's plagiarism. That's not acceptable. So that's why we run your article through a plagiarism check. It scans all like the internet, other articles, documents, and stuff. And if there is no significant match, that means it's your more or less your original work. Then we pass it. Then we send it to one of our reviewers. Now you do not get to know who reviews your article. Of course, it will be someone who is on the team page, because it will be someone who works for us, of course, who is a part of the JYP team, but you will not know exactly who. So once the reviewer looks at your article, but they will add some comments, and then we will forward the comments to you, to the author, by email. So every communication takes place through the official email, which is this journal of young physicists at gmail.com. Reviewers do not directly communicate with the author. And so yeah, sometimes the reviewer can reject the article even even if it has passed the plagiarism check. I mean, if the article has not passed the plagiarism check, it gets rejected then and there. It doesn't even reach any reviewer. Or sometimes the reviewer can accept it as it is, although very rarely. Or mostly what happens is the reviewer asks for some revisions. He or she, I mean, they give some comments, and then we communicate it to the author. The author makes some revisions and submits a revised article, and we send it again to the reviewer. And if they give the green flag, this process can take time sometimes, but yeah, then we publish it. So yeah, and this is just kind of like a disclaimer. Although the reviewers are our reviewers are themselves students. Like they are not. Most of them are not like PhDs, or none of them are like professors, or like qualified according to the standards of the system. But yeah, they we do check very rigorously our articles. Usually, we'll not find any major inconsistency or anything in the article. But this is just kind of like a formality that our reviewers are also primarily students and young volunteers. So although submitted articles go through basic editorial checks before publication, we cannot guarantee that all information, explanations, calculations, instructions, methods, or claims in published articles are complete, accurate, suitable for every purpose, or free from error. So you are responsible for how you interpret or use the information published on our website. We, our team members, contributors, and reviewers cannot accept any responsibility for any loss, injury, damage, academic issue, technical issue, other consequence resulting from following, applying, or relying on information contained in any article. But at the same time, if you notice any error, unclear statement, or potentially problematic content in an article, please you can always contact us. So yeah, I mean, this is our contact page. This is how you can get in touch with us, either through this contact form, or you can directly email us at. We have just one email, so it's yeah. Now let me show you some of our published articles, and then finally, and most important, I'll be talking about the information for authors. So, okay, so currently there are 119 published posts till date. It's maybe not, considering that the organization is almost 6 years old, it may not look like a lot. But of course, we have, since the very beginning, we have maintained some standards. We do not accept, because we have received so far, I think nearly 300, 285 or something submissions. So if we published all of them, it would be, this number would be 280 or something, 285. So we have maintained standards, and the standards have increased over the years. But even from day one, we have maintained standards, because, of course, some people submit stuff which cannot be published. Maybe not all of them have like a bad intention. Maybe not all of them just do it to spam or anything. Maybe some of them actually indeed try to write something good. But again, and of course, that should be encouraged. If somebody being a high school student decides to write something beyond curriculum, that should be, even if the writing is not proper, that should be encouraged. So we always encourage, we always send them detailed comments and ask them to resubmit the article after revisions. If they choose to revise it and resubmit, they can do that. But of course, we also have some standards in the platforms. If somebody is just writing about a known topic in a very, like a very boring manner, which, I mean, the way that it's written in every textbook, it's nothing new, then there is no point in publishing that article on our website, because you can get the same information on Wikipedia, you can get the same information on ChatGPT in today. I mean, so what's the point? We only publish stuff that's original. And by original, it need not be an original research article, by the way. Even if you submit a review article, if you submit a review article on some known topic, you have to present it in a unique way, in an engaging manner, not the way it's presented in Wikipedia, for instance, because otherwise it's no point in publishing it on our website. Then anybody can just copy paste from Wikipedia, maybe make one or two changes and submit an article. Doesn't make sense. So you have to write it in a way that somebody who's reading it, especially if they're young, or if they have no formal exposure to the topic, they will at least understand something. So that you should ensure, even if you're reviewing. So anyway, we have various categories, as you can see: cosmology and astrophysics, quantum mechanics, high energy physics, quantum gravity, complexity, mathematics, theoretical physics, experimental physics, medical physics, computational physics, engineering and technology, famous physicist interviews, and other. And these are like our featured articles. So this is just 12 articles from all our published posts, which includes like all these 119 articles, which have been handpicked by our team. Like these are, in a way, I shouldn't say these are the best pieces, because it's really difficult to judge. Every article is unique in their own way, and all of these published articles have already passed a very rigorous review. I mean, rigorous by the standards of high school students, definitely. So yeah, but these 12 are like kind of spans different areas, and in a way, like the among the better ones, let's say. So yeah, that's why these are the featured articles. You can take a look if you want, of course, in the on our website. And now, yeah, so the for instance, as you can see, we like, for instance, this article: machine learning applications in exploring strongly interacting matter. So this is like a original project of a master student, or I think like this was submitted by him when he was in the final year of his undergraduate. It's an original and highly technical advanced topic. So maybe this won't be of very of interest to a high school student who doesn't understand the basics, of course, but this will be interest to people who want to go deeper. And then this, a study of quantum imaging. This is a very friendly, beginner friendly review of a pretty advanced topic. You can check it out. For instance, If I want to show you, just yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. So for instance, some articles which are written like a PDF. These articles we publish like this, so you have the abstract, you have the references, and you can read online. You can just click here to read online, or you can also choose to download a PDF. But if you don't want to download, you can just read it on our website. For instance, this is the article, and just read it. Because these articles, as you can see, these are written in LaTeX, and there are lots of pictures, and also this, maybe this one doesn't have a lot of equations, but yeah. So for articles like this, we usually directly post it like a PDF. And then for articles like this, for instance, if I show you another one, maybe this one is just not published as a PDF. It's published as like a continuous post on our website. This article, by the way, this was written by a very young student, and reversible transitions between continuous and droplet regimes in a thin water stream. Now this is the kind of work we want to kind of highlight and encourage authors to follow, especially young authors, because we have noticed that especially in recent years we are getting lots of submissions which are clearly generated by AI, and they make no sense. Like, they look very technical, they use technical or like expert sounding complicated terms like field theory, Lagrangian, quantum gravity, string theory. I mean, being a high school student, if you really claim that you have solved the mystery of quantum gravity, you have unified gravity with quantum mechanics, my point is that you don't have to solve the universe to be useful, to become a good physicist. You should start simple, and this is something which is very difficult. Even I can relate with it at a personal level, to some extent at least. Young students, when they just learn about a little bit advanced topics, maybe they have heard about string theory or something, but they have no formal training in real mathematics, the abstract mathematics, or the real physics, but they have maybe heard about string theory in some popular science books and stuff like that. They start to think of themselves that we know so much, like we know advanced stuff, and they try to weaponize their knowledge, which is a very bad practice, but it's also very common among the younger generation, younger students, for instance high school students. So they try to write articles on that. They don't have, without having a formal understanding of what the theory really is, without any rigorous mathematical backing, they write articles about making wild claims. Now that's not how physics works, that's not how science works. And if you do that mistake being a high school student, that's not your fault. But if we correct you, if we send you an email, if we give you feedback not to do this, and if you keep repeating it, then that is your fault. Because especially nowadays you have ChatGPT, so you can generate an article which looks very professional and technical and stuff like that. But if you're like, for instance, providing or proposing a hypothesis about some new theory or so on and so forth, which doesn't have a proper mathematical formalism, which doesn't have a theoretical like proper theoretical motivation, which doesn't really add anything new to physics, it's just like you are kind of disproving old theories. And this is not fiction, this is not, you cannot do like that, especially if your idea is not experimentally testable. And that's why we always say, whenever you write about something, clearly mention both sides. Even if it is your own idea, you should mention the limitations as well. So that's why we always encourage students to start simple. If you just look around you, why is the sky blue? Why does the sky appear red near sunset? There's a very good physics behind it. Rayleigh scattering, for instance. Maybe you learn it in high school, so it's not very impressive. But you should start simple and get your foundations clear. Because Rayleigh scattering, by the way, is not a very simple phenomenon. In high school, you do learn that red light has longer wavelength, so it gets scattered for a longer distance in the horizon. Like in the sunset, the sun appears red. It's not so simple. There is a lot more to Rayleigh scattering. So even if you take a topic as simple as why is the sky blue and delve deep into it, do some research online. Nowadays there are lots of resources, and you can write an article out of that. It will be a article which is grounded in real physics, and that's way more important, that skill, rather than just writing something out of the blue, even if it's on string theory. So this article, for instance, it just a simple experiment somebody did with their tap in their home, that they just kind of turn the tap on, and they waited till they get almost like a steady regime, steady flow means like the water is flowing at a constant rate. And then they move their hand, they take their palm very near to the where the water is coming from the tap, near to the tip of the tap, and then they remove it again, and you see that then it becomes droplets. Like here it's like a steady flow, I mean in snapshot 1 it's like a steady flow, and then you get like droplets, this droplet regime. So the water becomes drop, and then again the steady flow takes over. So to actually explain this phenomenon, you need a lot of mathematics. This is a very advanced topic in hydrodynamics, to different regimes, and it deals with the surface tension of the water drops that's hanging from the tap. So it's surface tension, then the weight of the water droplets, so basically it's falling down because of gravity. Then the viscosity of the air of the medium, whether it can be approximated as a Euler flow or a Navier-Stokes flow. Lots of things. Basically hydrodynamics is not it's very complicated. It's somewhat, kind of, it doesn't have the prestige of quantum mechanics or string theory maybe, but that's really unfortunate because hydrodynamics is really foundational and very important branch of physics, even if people don't get as excited when they hear hydrodynamics as when they hear, for instance, string theory. That's really unfortunate. That's because, I mean, I think it has something to do with popular science, because most popular science books do not cover hydrodynamics, the history of hydrodynamics, the mathematics and everything. But yeah, this article, for instance, this article is written by I think a 12 or 13-year-old student, so there is not advanced mathematics here. But this observation, and the author is very honest about everything, is written the limitations and everything. This is the kind of article we encourage, we want. This is a very good. This is grounded in real physics. So this is the kind of article. This one is again a very good pedagogical article. This is about, this topic is not new. It's a gravitational lensing and general relativity, but it's written in a way, in a very unique way, in a very pedagogical way, so that people who are learning general relativity for the first time will be able to make some sense of this article, and will this may be useful for them. So we publish articles like this, just showing you a few. For instance, this one is also like an original, pretty advanced article, research work, magnetic field structure in the young standard populations in there. I did not review this because I'm not an expert on astrophysics and this kind of thing, but yeah, it's a very, even without reviewing it, just by looking at it, it's a very advanced article. Yeah, of course, maybe not advanced compared to PhD level, but compared to JYP's target audience, it is pretty advanced. Then we have like this kind of articles. Friction isn't always a villain. Why racing tires have so much grip? Take a simple, like, that's why I say, just look around you. There's many physics hiding. You don't have to start from string theory or quantum gravity. Exploring molecular docking simulations. Was Einstein wrong? Revisiting the cosmological constant. Like, you can see there are lots of articles which you can explore. So many kind of categories you can choose from, and so on and so forth. Now, finally, I want to talk about, and this is the most important part, information for authors. So if you want to submit an article to us, and if you want to join us, because these are the questions most people have, especially the young students have when they see our website, and that's why we get asked this question also. And so that's why I want to talk a little bit about this, and also end with kind of something which we are experiencing. This may be like a generic note as well, even beyond the JYP. Okay, so yeah, information for authors, what we look for in a submission. I mean, I'm not going to read it line by line, you can just read it, but I'll just go over the basics. So that's why I say, first of all, it should be original. In the sense that even if it's not original research, you shouldn't just copy paste or just write it in a boring way which does not add anything new, either to the science or to the presentation. And of course, like, this is what I repeat, because recently we have been receiving lots of such AI generated submissions on advanced topics where clearly the author has no idea of what they're doing, and it's basically pseudoscience. So yeah, we do not have any fixed eligibility criteria requiring authors to be of a certain age, academic level, or formal physics background. Yeah, you don't even need to be a physics student. You can, yeah, to submit an article. Submissions are judged primarily on their content, originality, clarity, scientific value, not on the author's age, credentials, and so on. But before submitting, yeah, even if you are reviewing a known topic, the presentation should still be original, thoughtful, and engaging. Simply reporting standard facts without interpretation or structure is usually not enough. We especially encourage students to think independently, start simple, look around, take a phenomena from daily life, ask a good question, and explore it carefully. You don't need to solve the universe to contribute meaningfully. Good physics is grounded, clear, falsifiable, and honest about its assumptions and limitations. And yeah, this is also something, when we get an email from some author who is maybe wondering about that article, that I submitted an article like almost 1 month back. I still haven't received any news from you guys what's happening. We do understand that authors, especially young authors, they are also eager to hear from us. They are waiting for a reply, but sometimes it's not possible for us to do the review process in maybe 1 week or 2 week, and sometimes it's also not possible for us to reply to each and every email. So yeah, due to the large volume of submissions we have been receiving in recent months, especially I think from November 2025 or October 2025 maybe, we have been forced to slightly increase our strictness and editorial standards, especially to filter out AI generated pseudoscientific or poorly grounded submissions. So we do not encourage outlandish claims, unsupported theories, or articles that claim to have solved major open problems without evidence, reproducibility, or scientific grounding. We have received submissions claiming to unify quantum mechanics and general relativity, explain the entire universe, or overturn established physics, often in ways that are AI generated or pseudoscientific. Such submissions are unlikely to be considered seriously. However, our goal is not simply to accept, reject, and publish, but to encourage young students to think independently and scientifically. So even when an article is rejected, we try to provide meaningful feedback to the author, and authors are welcome to ask questions about their work and resubmit a substantially revised version in the future. Author identity, consent, and conflicts of interest. Yeah, so of course, this is the our submit page, just to show you before coming back to information for authors. So you can submit your article to us. We just ask for your full name, your email, your school, university, institution. This is optional because you don't need to be affiliated. Even if you, let's say you were just a student, or you don't want to mention the name of your school, or let's say even if you don't go to any school, that's possible. In some countries there are people like that, but you can still submit to us. If your work is accurate, we will consider your work. We will not be treating you with any kind of like bias that you're not affiliated to any school or university. Country, yeah, we do ask for your country, but of course this is just for our records. We do not ask for any personal information beyond your name and country. Submission type, whether it's a research article, review article, pedagogical report, project report, physics blog, or essay, or kind of idea or proposal, or something else you're not sure, you can just submit it. And well, you can either, we ask all authors to submit like a Google Doc, so basically, or even like a Google Drive, so you just if it's an article with lots of equations, you can just create a PDF and upload the PDF to your Google Drive and change the settings so that anybody with the link can view the article. We don't need edit permissions. We will just, if the reviewer wants to add comments, they will do it separately. We don't edit directly on what you have sent us on your document. But yeah, please turn the permission on so that we can view the document at least. Otherwise it's not point, right? So, and then you can just paste the link of your Google Docs here, and you can submit it to us if you have any comments, and then you can just submit it to us. But yeah, a lot of time we have seen that people submit Google Docs links, but they have not, they, like, it's the settings as such that anybody with the link cannot see the document. So when we try to open it, we see that you do not have access. Please don't do this, because it just delays the process, and again we have to request access from the author, then whether they give access or not. So there's nothing we can do in such cases, right? So if you're submitting your article using a Google Docs URL, please ensure that the sharing settings allow us to access the document. Just view permission, not we don't need edit permission, because if you cannot open the file, even the most promising article cannot make it past the first boundary condition. And if you want, there is also a second way to submit. You can directly submit a PDF to us, or even like a doc, like a Word file or something, by email, and we have only one email, like I told you. Right, now this is how you can submit your article to us, right? Okay, by the way, we also have a very detailed privacy policy. If you want, you can take a look. Especially, yeah, we take the privacy, we take the, like, the privacy of our minors very seriously, because some people who work for us, our team members, they are below the age of 18 years, like they are maybe 15 years, 16 years, and stuff like that. So they are minors. So we take that's why even on the team page, if you look at the team page, I'm not scrolling down because I don't want to show the, I mean, this page is public basically. But yeah, as you can see, this page features both current and former members of the JYP. We cannot guarantee that all information about every individual listed here is up to date, because let's say somebody joined us when they were in college and now they have moved to a different university, but they have not informed us. Of course, we cannot know that. We cannot update it. If any individual listed here would like to update their biography, modify, or remove their photograph for privacy reasons, or request complete removal of their name from this page, they can always let us know. We will do it immediately. So yeah. But anyway, coming back to information for authors. So now the question is, we only ask for your name and your country and your email. That's it. We have no, so I mean, you can ask that if I just submit an article, make a spam submission, kind of like a fake submission. If I just submit an article like with a fake, like a false name with somebody else's name and a link, and well, see, we don't ask you to verify your identity through sensitive personal documents. We don't ask you to like upload your passport or anything like that, because that's personal sensitive information, especially if the author is below 18. Again, we take this privacy of our minors very seriously. So we operate on the basis of trust and goodwill of young contributors. However, by submitting an article, the submitting author confirms that the work is submitted under the correct names, with the knowledge and consent of all listed authors, and without impersonating any other person. If an article is ever found to have been submitted under someone else's name without consent, the concerned person may contact or email us, and we will review the matter and take appropriate action. Authors are also assumed to have no undeclared conflicts of interest. So, well, first of all, this is just to safeguard, just a formality. But usually, if you have written a very like a proper article, it's like a serious article, if you worked on it, then definitely you will not submit the same article under someone else's name just to mess with us, right? And if you want to mess with us, then what you can do is that you, instead of a proper Google Docs URL, you can give us some URL, some link which doesn't even lead to a proper like a Google document or a physics article, and then you can submit it with some other name, someone else's email. You can do that. But the thing is that such submissions, they will not be sent to reviewers. We will immediately open the link and see that, oh, this is somebody who is maybe joking around or messing around with us. We just delete that record from our system if it's not a real article. So usually this, at least up to now, we have not faced any trouble because of this, because if you nobody will actually submit a serious article that they worked on under someone else's name. That's not really, nobody will do that. And if you just do it to mess around with us, you will maybe waste 1 or 2 minutes from our lives, from the one who is but yeah, we will delete the, of course it will not even, we'll clearly understand that this is not a serious submission, so that's fine really. Submissions that are published, I mean, I'm not going through everything else, but we have I mean, if you really want to submit something to us, you should go through this page. We have policies for everything: author rights, submission requirements, author article preparation guidelines, uh, author details. Yeah, of course, author should include a short bio in third person within the document itself. For multi-author submissions, short bio should be included for all the authors, and published authors may be listed on our team page with their name and bio. They can submit a picture if they wish, but this is completely optional. We respect the privacy of all contributors, especially minors, so authors may choose not to provide a picture or may opt out of having a bio displayed. So, however, the author's name will, of course, appear with the published article. Because, of course, if you have some privacy issue, we don't want to give us a bio. If you don't want a bio on publicly on the website that you live in this city, in that country or stuff, that's completely okay. We respect that. For multi, yeah, this is important because some articles we have like a multi-author. For instance, the one I think I showed you uh, off late, this one, for instance, conceptual note, the arrow of time as an emergent. No, this is not multi-author as far as I remember. Why airplanes? Yeah, I think this one is a multi-author submission. Let's see. Yeah, you see there are three authors: dynamical state and mass proxy analysis of an early type galaxy using velocity dispersion photometry. So in such cases, only, of course, any one of the authors can submit the article, because of course ultimately only one of the authors will be doing the real submission on our website or on the email on behalf of all the authors, but the email addresses of all the co-authors must be mentioned in the document, or if you're emailing us in the email, either way. In addition, every co-author other than the submitting author must also send us an email confirming that they consent to the article being reviewed and, if accepted, published by the JYP. All email communication regarding revisions, comments, or editorial decisions for multi-author submissions will include all author emails in the loop. So basically, for such articles, all communication, we will have all the authors' email in CC, in copy. So yeah, and of course it's a not-for-profit student-led platform. We do not charge authors at any stage of the submission, review, revision, or publication process, regardless of the article is accepted or rejected. We also do not accept donations. The platform is sustained entirely by the passion, time, and voluntary work of team members. Review process, yeah. So we are not a registered or indexed peer-reviewed journal. Yeah, first of all, we believe that we should always be honest about what we are and what we are not. This platform is free and it's meant to give young students, or even if you not necessarily just high school student, even if you are, for instance, undergraduate, we want to give you a platform so that you can get feedback on your work, you can get your work out there, you can get your work published, and we have like many thousand unique site visitors every month, so people actually read our work. Yeah, of course, we're not claiming that we are as famous as like some real big journals, but yeah, at our at our for our target audience, at our niche, we are like, I'm not trying to be let's be modest. We are, there are people who read us, that's it. But yeah, of course, we are not a indexed peer reviewed journal. However, we follow a review model inspired by academic peer review. Once we receive I already told you this. Once we receive a submission, it's assigned to a reviewer whose identity is not disclosed to the author. All communication takes place through the JYP email. The reviewer checks the article for originality, scientific accuracy, clarity, grammar, structure, and overall suitability for publication. Now, based on this review, a submission may be rejected, returned for revision, or in rare cases accepted without major changes. Authors will be kept updated during the process and may contact us at any time with questions mentioning their name and article title. The review process may sometimes take a month or longer, especially during periods of high submission volume. Our reviewers are volunteers and are often students themselves, so delays may occur due to academic schedules or editorial backlog. So, of course, request you to be patient. Post publication revisions. Yeah, if a published author wishes to make changes in their articles, they can email us at any time to request reasonable revisions. The reasonable is important because you cannot just, of course, you have to understand our constraints also. You have published something with us 2 years ago and you just suddenly want to change a major percentage of it, so it's not always possible, right? The final decision regarding such changes lies with the JYP if concerns or issues are identified in a published article. We do not remove or unpublish the article. Instead, we may review the issue and, where appropriate, add an editor's note. You can see on our website, if you take a look at our articles, sometimes we have editor's notes or some such like a mention such mentions on the article, on the, like, before the article starts at the top of the page. Right. Our aim is to maintain transparency while preserving the publication record and the author's original contribution. So of course we do not we never like remove the article in such cases, right? If concerns or issues are identified with the published article, we do not remove an unpublished article. Instead, we may review, yeah, whatever. Help with scientific, yeah, this is something which we recently started. Now this is not on like an official full-fledged mentoring program, but sometimes, because one or two authors reached out to us unofficially even before we updated this paragraph on our website, and they were asking for, like, we are very young, we are high school students, so we liked the comments by your reviewer, but we don't know how to proceed, how to with the comments. So in that case, I thought that this platform is meant to inspire young students, and so we cannot just say that no, we just gave you feedback, we just gave you comments, and that's the end of our job. We don't know about anything else. We cannot just avoid responsibility. If you are trying, then we should also help to the best of our efforts. So yeah, young students who have a clear, relevant idea but need help turning it into a proper scientific article, they may request an informal online meeting with a JVM team member by email. This process is completely free of charge and is of course not a formal mentoring commitment. Meetings are subject to the availability of a team member, so we cannot guarantee that every request will be accepted. However, where possible, we are happy to guide students on scientific writing, structure, clarity, and basic physics reasoning. But yeah, this is important. Minors must be accompanied by a parent or legal guardian during any online meeting. Yeah, even though this is not an in-person meeting, this is online meeting, but still some protocols must be maintained. Now, and of course, if the idea is like original, unpublished, or sensitive, we advise authors to be cautious about how much detail they share before they're ready to submit or publish. Because the JYP cannot take responsibility for protecting undeveloped ideas shared informally before submission. Because you will be put in touch with one of our team members, so we cannot really guarantee. You know what I mean? We really trust all our team members, of course, but this is just a formality. We cannot take responsibility for that. If it's already submitted to us, then we have a clear submission date and a record of it. Then you are safe, even if somebody tries to, kind of use your idea even before it's published. But otherwise, no. And finally, yeah, this part is really, really relevant nowadays. I mean, not just for JYP, but even in general, even in big journals, proper reputable journals, there are, most of you have seen these cases, like, right, articles from proper labs with like famous scientists, famous researchers. They clearly have, like, for instance, AI generated parts, or even like blatant AI mistakes. Even the reviewers are using AI to send back reviews, and this I'm talking about proper journals. So this is really very unfortunate, but at the same time, personally, I feel that peer review is broken model. Peer review was a very good system back in the days of, for instance, in the early 20th century. During that time, if you just, if you're lucky and if you are like one of the heavyweights, if you do a small calculation, maybe you reach a really new and groundbreaking contribution. Today, that's not possible. Why? Well, it's not because today's scientists are stupid and Einstein and they were smart. It's not that. It's because of the time, because they have already done all the work. So there is an end to fundamental discoveries. I'm not saying there is an end to science. I don't believe that. But at the very foundational level, at the very fundamental level, you cannot have an infinite number of truths, infinite number of new stuff to discover. So that's why today the work, the kind of scientific work, it's mostly about, experiments, data, fitting the data to do some modeling, mathematical modeling, or even if it's like really foundational work, so-called fundamental abstract theoretical work, it's mostly either mathematics, or if it's physics, then it's like incremental work on already known theories. Or otherwise, it's mostly like not even serious work. So for such cases, you need to do lots of simulations, you need to do lots of works, and kind of that. And AI is something which has made everything more confusing and more difficult, because difficult for academia as a whole, maybe easier for the authors in the short run. Because with AI, you can actually generate a very convincing looking manuscript if you have a little bit of brain. It's not your idea, but again, you're not stupid. So if you have a little bit of brain, you can use AI to generate like really great professional looking manuscripts, which can even pass through the, let's say, barriers of proper like big journals. That's possible. That's actually possible. And AI is like, only problem, the major problem with AI is that it's built to agree with the user, because the AI is not built for research. For whatever, maybe you have some, nowadays people have some research agents, AI agents, which are built specifically for research. But all that is fine. But and maybe they are slight improvement rather than ordinary chatbots like ChatGPT. But even so, the entire LLM and AI model, it it's designed, it's by design, this is by design, it's designed to retain the user. So it's designed to always agree with the user, never to actually challenge the user. So if you, let's say you have a plot of from some data, and you don't have a existing literature or like reliable groundwork on which to build, so you can interpret that plot in a thousand different ways, like in many different ways. And let's say you, based on your past experience, or just let's say you have some bias about, like, you think that this is the correct explanation, then if you tell it to the AI, the AI will definitely find some argument to convince you that that is correct. So if that's correct, that's very good, but it could also not be correct. But the AI will only amplify your bias. And if you think, it will just tell you what you want to hear. And how does it know what you want to hear? Based on your interactions, based on the way you pose the question, based on the way you write the prompts, right? And nowadays even AI even has, they have, I mean, it has memory. So it recalls all your past interactions, which is even more dangerous. So that's the thing. So AI is not really helping research in a way. For the most part, it's doing more harm than good, because, and then you have a multitude of choices. Like you can proceed in many directions. The guys who are doing experiments, that's good, because for experiments, you're doing experiments on real systems and you have real data. That data cannot be manipulated by AI. But the guys like me who are doing, like, for instance, simulations, mathematical modeling, or just theoretical work, the guys like us, it's very dangerous. AI has made it all dangerous, because people without experience can, generate papers which look professional, and at least by looking by the number of papers, they are thousand times more productive than people like us who are working our asses off. And AI is just, well, I mean, you see what I mean. So of course, for the JYP, the problem is not as big as like real journals, because the JYP gets, we do get some original research project, but that's not our. We also get review papers and stuff. But even for us, recently of late, we were receiving so many AI submissions, we had to like introduce some new kind of guidelines. So we do not encourage authors to rely on AI tools to write their articles. To a limited extent, AI may be used to improve wording, grammar, or readability, but the final article must always be carefully checked and verified by the author, because the author is responsible, fully responsible. You cannot say that, let's say you submit the article under your name, and then after a few months, let's say some serious issue comes up with the article. You cannot say that, you cannot evade responsibility by saying that I don't know, AI generated the article, because you are the author, and AI cannot be your co-author. I mean, some people are debating even that, but yeah. So the author is fully responsible for the accuracy, originality, references, and scientific content of the submitted work. So submissions containing fake or hallucinated references, obvious AI generated filler, prompt like phrases, copied AI responses, scientifically unreliable AI generated content will be rejected. For instance, you submit an article which is written not in paragraphs, but like, you know, almost like a continuous point wise, like the way AI responds, if you know what I mean. Or then if you use many sentences of the form like, this is dash, not dash, not dash. So this kind of sentence structure, if a human is actually writing by themselves, they don't usually write like this. So again, while these are not conclusive evidence, like for instance m dashes, the large dashes, Oxford commas, now these are not conclusive evidence. If you use Oxford commas, if you use m dashes, some people do it by themselves. That doesn't prove that you have definitely used AI. But again, AI text tend to use that. So that's again, that's that kind of points in that direction. But again, no decision can be made like this, because some people can actually ask AI to generate everything, but then they can remove the m dashes them manually, and then it appears human like, if somebody is judging solely on the basis of that. But even apart from all those small technicalities, just by reading the article, it's it's possible to understand for most of the cases, whether it's, yeah, if you have used AI to slightly refine the wording, that's fine, as long as the idea is your own, as long as you've verified all the references, there are no hallucinated references, that's fine. But completely AI generated nonsense, that's easily identifiable, even if you remove m dashes or stuff like that, right? So authors who repeatedly submit such work may be warned, and continued misconduct may result in the JYP no longer considering future submissions from these authors. Our aim is to support genuine student thinking, not to publish automated or unverified material. Before preparing a submission, authors should ask themselves, what does this work add to scientific thinking? Will a young student or non expert find it genuinely intriguing, or will a physics student find it inspiring and informative in a way that cannot be reproduced by AI using a few prompts? This is important. So, and if the answer to the question is no, then that submission doesn't really add anything new. So it's unlikely to have meaningful value. So yeah, these are our information for authors, and you should again read this page in more detail if you're considering submitting to us. Final question before I'll be addressing, or maybe I already showed you our articles, but you can take a look. So these are the featured ones, and these are the like the recent articles, the ones we published. So you can just take a look at the articles. I mean the titles. You can open the website for yourself and take a look in detail. So you see, there's a like mostly it's somehow or the other related to physics. But again, we are not very strict that you have to give a traditional conventional physics article. We are really open. This one, the secret geometry of symphony, how physics writes our favorite song. Again, this is not really physics. This is yeah. Well, this one is actually physics because you have these wavelengths and like the physics behind music basically. So it's a good article. But I mean, we have some articles which maybe they are not strictly physics, sports science and all. These are within the comfortable, these are comfortably within the, let's say, domain of physics, all of this. But some articles we have, for instance, let me try to find one. Bacterial solutions, extremophiles revolutionizing sustainability. This is, I think, more, this is not, definitely not conventional physics. The point I'm trying to say is that we do not have any strict requirements that it has to be a conventional physics articles, even though we are technically we are the Journal of Young Physicists. As long as your article is like scientifically accurate, and we are ready to consider your article even if it doesn't sit strictly within physics, as long as it's proper science and there is, in one way or the other it's linked to physics, which I think is would always be true anyway, right? So yeah. And we also have interviews, like this was a very good interview which I conducted, an interview on quantum foundations and theoretical physics with Professor Tejinder Singh of the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. So it's a very good interview, especially if you're into quantum foundations and unification. You can read this. So we have a few interviews, and we in the future also it's in our agenda. We will be interviewing more physicists as well. For instance, we have interviewed the one I showed you, and then this one is kind of my, then an interview with Paul Halpern, author of Einstein's Dice and Schrodinger's Cat. An interview with Leonard Lordinow, he authored the book The Grand Design with Stephen Hawking. Interview with John Horgan, he was the author of the book The End of Science, great book. So yeah. Yeah, like you have super paramagnetic iron oxide nanoparticles as a novel therapeutic for uh, atherosclerosis plaque reduction. This is clearly like you could call it medical physics. So you see, it's very interdisciplinary, and that's good because the conventional physics that's already known, and maybe some textbook, some Wikipedia article, or some other blog will do a better job of explaining a very conventional topic than the JYP, right? That's why we kind of encourage articles on any and every topic as long as it's original and the science is accurate. That part is like non-negotiable. For instance, you see thrombosis and high cellular density impact on glioma growth, molecular docking simulations, bioacoustics, monitoring of coral reef. So you see, there are these articles are like still in a way you could call them conventional physics, but of course we try to have a balance between both. So yeah, I mean you can take a look as per your time. There are lots of articles, 119 published posts, more posts coming, and finally what I want to tell you is that before ending the video, join us. So many young students, or you don't even have to be a high school student, we also need some experts in the team. And I'm not saying, I'm not judging experts by your degree or academic qualification, but it's good to have people who have gone far down the conventional path. So for instance, people with master's degrees, even PhDs, if they want to get involved, we're always like, we'll be more than happy, we'll be more than honored. So many of you have questions, or even after watching this video, even if you did not know of the JOP previously, maybe you have questions about, what does it mean to join us, what would be your responsibility, stuff like that. So we are really looking forward to like welcoming more members to our team, and especially since now we are receiving many submissions, and we are also planning to scale up the platform, the organization. We really need more members. Currently we do have quite a few members, but it's to sustain the operation long term, we do need more members. So this page, just take a, I mean, if you're interested in joining us, please take a look in detail on this page, and then email us about your details or like what you want to do for us, and then we can of course get in touch, and we will be looking forward to welcoming you. But yeah, so we are a student-led not-for-profit platform powered entirely by. So this page is kind of, I wrote this in a kind of funny way. I didn't want to keep it like very, like a formal legal document or something. So powered entirely by curiosity, caffeine level enthusiasm, and the voluntary work of young people who care about physics. So we exist to encourage the growth of young physicists, support independent scientific thinking in young students, and make physics feel a little less locked behind intimidating doors for the layman. So you can either join us as a contributor. So if you join as a contributor, again, there is no hard boundary. If you want to join us, that means you get involved with us. So within the organization, you can do whatever you like, whenever you like. So for instance, you can work as a contributor. Sometimes you can write an article, one or two articles for us. Of course, if you submit your art, even if you are a contributor of us, so even if you have officially joined us, your article will still go through the all the usual steps and will be reviewed by some other reviewer, because you can also work both as a contributor for us by writing articles, and you can also work as a reviewer, but you cannot review your own articles, of course. I mean, obviously. So your articles will be reviewed by someone else, but you can join as a contributor. So if you're a high school undergraduate or a student or simply a young learner interested in physics, science, communication, or scientific writing, you are welcome to apply to join us as a contributor. You do not necessarily need to be a physics major. As a contributor, you will be write physics articles for us, including technical pieces, review articles, pedagogical reports, whichever format, whichever you're comfortable with, as long as it's like accurate and acceptable, like basic acceptable with regards to basic standards. What matters most is not your formal background, but your originality, clarity, and willingness to think carefully. Articles written by contributors must be submitted through the regular process, either through the submission form or by email, and will be reviewed by a reviewer. Review submissions. You may also join us as a reviewer. Reviewers help us assess submitted articles before publication. When a suitable article is available, we email it to a reviewer along with guidance on how to review it, which includes checking for plagiarism, scientific accuracy, clarity, structure, references, grammar, and overall suitability. If a topic is outside your comfort zone, you are always free to pass on that article. So some people always ask us that if I join as I joined as a reviewer 2 months back, I still haven't received an article. That's totally fine. That doesn't mean that we are avoiding you, or that doesn't mean that you are not doing enough for us. Because let's say we have 5 reviewers but 3 new articles, of course 2 of them will be left out, right? In some cases also we pass the same article through both reviews if it's ambiguous. For instance, the reviewer one says that the article should be rejected, or maybe we can ask for major revisions, but the reviewer one is not really sure, ambiguous. In that case, we can ask for a second reviewer to also review the same article and also hear their opinion, and then we can make a decision. But also, not always, because if the article is clearly like not worth publishing, reject worthy, then one review is enough to reject it. And if the article is clearly extremely good, then even one review is enough to like push it to publication. We don't always need 2 reviews. It's only for ambiguous cases. And also, the bad thing about 2 reviews is that, I mean, one of the downsides is that it takes it that means the article, it becomes like it takes 2 months. The review process, the process from submission to final decision becomes like more than 1 month, sometimes 2 months, sometimes in rare cases even more than 2 months. And we know that while the authors must wait because the platform runs on, we do care about standards, but at the same time we know that young authors, they do not always want to wait 3 months or 2 months, right? And even we don't want to delay it unnecessarily. So yeah, so reviewing should be thoughtful, respectful, and constructive. Of course, the goal is not just to reject or accept, but to help young authors improve their work. Of course, even if you reject, you have to provide good feedback, like on how the author can learn from this and how to improve, or why exactly rejected, so that the author can learn from it. And of course, team members of the JYP who are both contributors and reviewers cannot review their own contributions. Yes, of course. If you don't want to join us as contributor or reviewer, but if you still want to join us, there is, of course, that's also possible, and that's also an important part of the platform, by the way, because the platform is not just about reviewing articles or writing articles. There are also other ways to help the JYP grow. If you're interested in replying to email queries, maintaining submission records, helping with the website design and maintenance, of course, you can see from our website it's very well maintained, so we need people for that to sustain this long term, or supporting the platform in another useful way, feel free to reach out. We are a small student organization, so even small contributions can make a real difference. Bring new ideas to the JYP. We are also open to team members who want to help the JYP do things beyond the usual article writing and reviewing orbit. So this may include virtual events, student activities, creative physics challenges, outreach projects. So we do have some kind of events like this planned, but these are still in the brainstorming stage, like not formalized yet, not finalized yet. So, but yeah, we're always looking forward to brainstorming this with our team members, or even if you want to join us and have some ideas like this on the outreach side, you can also get involved through that. So how it works? Yeah, this part is important. I think this paragraph will answer a lot of your questions. JYP is built around voluntary participation. It's not a formal job. We members who join us, we do not pay them. There is no money involved either way in this entire organization. So it's a voluntary participation, and so team involvement is meant to be flexible and respectful of each member's time. There are no strict deadlines, penalties, or minimum numbers of articles or reviews required to remain part of the team. Of course, when I say there are no strict deadlines, usually we say when we assign an article to a reviewer, we say ask the reviewer that please try to get the review done in 1 month, because usually if it's a small article by a young student, it shouldn't take more than 1 month. And we clearly ask the reviewer that if you have exams now, or if you are busy right now for whatever reason, just please mention that to us. It's completely okay if you haven't reviewed a single article for the last 6 months. That's completely fine. You're not getting paid for this anyway. But just be open to us from day one that actually I cannot take on this article right now. I'm really busy. I don't think I'll be able to do it for 1 month. So then and there we can, instead of assigning it to you, we can assign it to someone else who is free, and that saves both our time, the author's time, and as well as your time, right? But yeah, otherwise there are no strict deadlines, penalties, or minimum numbers of articles or reviews required to remain part of the team. No such thing. Okay. If we do not send you an article to review for some time, that's completely okay. It may simply be due to topic mismatch, availability, or other reviewers already being assigned. We also understand that students have exams, classes, applications, personal commitments, and occasional, like basically breakdowns. So instead of using the word emotional breakdowns or mental breakdowns, I said, why did I choose physics phases? It's something all physics students have, pretty sure, even, myself included. Team members may take breaks when needed. They're also free to leave the JYP if they wish. It's not a no permanent commitment, of course. The only things we expect are sincerity, respect for boundaries, respect for authors whose work may be shared for review, and genuine interest in what the JYP stands for. That's it. And of course, being part of the JYP can be a valuable learning experience for you, especially if you're young, like if you're very young. Team members may list their involvement with the JYP on their CV, portfolio, academic profile. If a student is applying to a university program, internship, or opportunity and needs a supporting document confirming their involvement with the JYP, they may request it from us. Where appropriate, we can provide a supporting document on official JYP letterhead acknowledging their role and contribution. So yeah, that's all the information basically. If you want to apply, just email us and tell us a little about yourself. It need not be a formal email. There's an application portal. There is no requirement for a CV, because we know that we cannot expect 12 or 13 years old to have proper CVs for that, right? Just email us, tell us a little about yourself, why you want to join us, and what kind of role would you be interested in. And then just include also a short third person bio of you that may be added to a team page if you join, and a picture is optional, like I already told you. CV is not required, but if you already have a CV, you can send that as well. So now you may ask, how do we select? Because we receive many applications. Well, for the team members, we receive many article submissions for sure. For team members, we do receive occasionally applications, but it's not like we receive many applications. No, not like that. Maybe in the future, sometime in the future, we will receive many applications. Then we have to be a little bit more strict about selection procedures. So, but for now, we do not follow a rigid selection procedure. We are brought together mainly by a shared love for physics, curiosity, and the belief that meaningful scientific spaces should not be driven by gatekeeping. But however, we may not be able to accept everyone who wishes to join, especially if we do not have a suitable role available at that time. So in such cases, applicants may ask us to keep their emails and contact them if a relevant opportunity becomes available in the future. Right? And then team conduct. Well, team membership is based on mutual respect, responsibility, and trust. So any form of misconduct, which includes but is not limited to misuse of access, misrepresenting the JYP on public platforms, spreading false information about or on behalf of the JYP, disrespect toward others, towards authors, reviewers, readers, or other team members, may result in removal from the team and further disciplinary action where applicable. So yeah, this is all basically about joining us. So I hope we answered many generic usual questions. If you have still some question which is not answered on our website or in the video, please feel free to get in touch with us through this contact page or through the email Journal of Young Physicists @gmail.com. And we really look forward to, if you have any questions, and if you would like to join us, or even if you would like to, let's say, write an article. If you're a young student watching this, if you would just like to write an article and submit it to us. Maybe you don't want to join us, like become a full-time member, but just write an article for us, and contribute it independently. Please do that. We because people like you, contributors, and our team members, you guys are the one that keep the entire organization running. And that's the reason, by the way, coming back to to what I was discussing near the beginning of the video. That's why, except on the team page, my name along with many other team members' name. So except on this page, you will never find my name anywhere on this website, and that's intentional. I do not want to turn the JYP into something about me. I founded this organization for sure, but I do not want to, turn this about me, because the JYP is more than me. The JYP is beyond me, and the JYP will continue operating even after I'm gone, years into the future. Hopefully, I mean, of course, that when I say that, I'm kind of implicitly assuming that the world will not be destroyed before that. If that outcome, turns out to be the correct one, then there is no point talking about the JYP anyway. But yeah, otherwise, this is like a open, honest, transparent platform. We are not claiming to be something we are not. We are not claiming that we are kind of like a Scopus Index journal, peer-reviewed journal or something like official. But yeah, we are an honest, transparent space where we maintain our standards, maintain minimum but strict standards, which you can check if you read our articles. You can check for yourself. And it's a open, welcoming space for young students who want to write about physics. We cannot like kind of guarantee that we'll be accepting every article. Especially the last few months, we have been receiving so many AI generated or like junk articles, or maybe articles which are good in the sense that they clearly, the author has made a good attempt. They are good in the sense they talk about a good idea, but they do not follow the basic guidelines. Like there is no mathematical backing, no mention of limitation. So we cannot. So in such cases, we return the article for revisions, or if it's like completely nonsense, then we reject it. We don't even ask for revisions in such cases. We don't even keep that option open. So yeah, so if I think about the last few months, just maybe 2026, from January to now of 2026, many articles have been rejected actually. If I think about it, almost like I don't know, more than 50%, for sure, more than 50% have been rejected. So that means that's why we cannot guarantee that if you submit something to us, it will be published after revisions. No, sometimes it will be rejected, and after revisions means if it's substantial revisions, then if you do not make those substantial revisions that meets our standards, we will not publish it. That's why it's okay that we have 119 published pieces and not more than that, but we want to maintain the standards. That's more important long run. And even 119 is not a very small number. But yeah, if we slightly slacked our standards, that would be really bad for the platform. But that way we could have, let's say, 150 or even more published posts. But number of posts quantity is not really important to us, like at least less important than quality. So yeah, but we hope that the JYP will grow. It has already become that in a small group, in a small niche, but we hope that it will expand further. So it's a honest, transparent, open platform for young students, where they can write about physics, ask questions about physics, and learn physics their own way beyond the curriculum. And that's all it is. Yeah. So I think that's all for this video. You have a good idea right now, hopefully, of what the JYP is and what it is not, because there is a lot of confusion regarding this, which I understand. Yeah. If you have any more questions, we would like to get involved, please email us. By the way, we are actually looking forward. Like we're actually looking for new team members, right? Especially contributors, but also reviewers and the other roles. So if you're, and no, especially contributors, and also one or at least one or two members who would take care of the email, like kind of. They'll be given access, delegate access to our Gmail and stuff like that. So we have procedures for that. But yeah, if you want to know the details, if you want to get involved, contact us by email. I cannot say everything in this public YouTube video. But yeah, so or even if you don't want to get involved, even if you don't want to join the JYP team, you can still submit an article to us. Or even if you are not ready to do that, or maybe if you're a PhD student or someone who is clearly above the JYP's target audience level, even then you can just if you think this is worth it, if you think that what we're doing is honest and important, you can just speak to your, maybe in your family, if there is some young student, or just in your network, if there is some young student, you can just inform them about the JYP if they're interested in physics, because that's how you can just spread the word. That's it. That's also a very, very important role, even if it's not an official team role. So yeah, I hope you liked the video, and that's all for this video. Let me know. I mean, let us know. Email us if you have any questions, and I'll be sharing the link of the website and details in the description of the video. So be sure to check that out. Thank you. Thanks for watching.